Looking to take your financial knowledge to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to Ask Ralph, offering accounting, technical, and financial advice. Whether you're looking to save taxes or improve your business, he's got you covered. Here's your host of Ask Ralph, Ralph Eastep Jr.
Hello and welcome back to the Ask Ralph Show. We are very happy that you've joined us today. My name is Ralph Eastep Jr. I'm the owner of Sadio Management Group. We're a accounting practice in Middletown, Delaware, and we serve clients all over the state, all over the country and world, actually. And we do this show every week, and we talk about financial topics, we talk about tax topics, and sometimes we talk about topics that have nothing to do with finance or tax, but they're just something that I have of interest in. If you're interested in finding out more of the things we've talked about before, you can go to our website, which is askralph.com, and there you can link to our podcast or go to iTunes or something like that. So today, as we continue on, thinking about things for 2019, let's talk about 3 ways to improve your finances in 2019. Now, you may still be in that position where, you're unwrapping unwanted gifts that you receive, but I bet you a lot of us are getting those bills in the mail, those credit card bills from all the spending we may have done at the end of November or at the beginning of December and ready for Christmas. So it really becomes a great time in the new year to check and see what can we do to improve our finances. Give yourself a little bit of an overhaul and see if you can figure out some ways to improve your finances in 2019. So here's 3 things that I've come up with of ways that you can do that. And number 1, and this goes back to a thing I tell a lot of clients, set a spending plan. Now, I didn't use the word budget because I think budget, makes people think like there's this huge restriction. And I think that's dangerous. But most experts agree that setting a budget is a key step to getting your finances in order. Now, I will add something to what I just said. In order to set up that spending plan, you really need to take a look and start with, where is your money being spent? So I think that's really something you should do. Not only develop a spending plan, but at the same time, take a look at where your money is going. And really, you're thinking about 3 things. There's what I call essentials, endgame, and extras. And let's talk about how we would mix those things together. I heard this from, I think a person's name is, I want to say Lepin. I don't have it right in front. Nicole Lepin is a personal financial advisor and New York Times bestselling author. And she came up with this, what she calls the 3 E's, essentials, endgame, and extras. And here's what she recommends, and I think it's a great approach. And then 70% of your overall spending plan should go towards the essentials. What is that? Well, that's the basic stuff you need: food, transportation, utilities, and insurance. 70% there. Then we take the next 15%, and that should go to the end game. Well, the end game is pretty self-explanatory. That's savings, retirements, and investments. And then, just like any good diet, you need to put aside some what we call extras. And she recommends 15% in extras. So again, 70% in essentials, 15% in end game, and 15% in extras. You got to give yourself that leeway to do some things that are interesting to you, because the truth of the matter is most financial experts will tell you to go on a really strict budget and cut out all the things that you really like is going to be an appetite for destruction. It's not sustainable. You're not going to maintain it. So this particular approach allows you some small indulgences, but you need to make sure you're tracking it. So set that spending plan and then take a look at where your money is going. You might use a financial tool. You might use like a QuickBooks. You might use a Quicken. You might use, I think there's an app called Mint. There's a bunch of different things you can use. What gets measured gets done. Number 2 is negotiate your bills. And a lot of people are amazed when I tell them this, but you can negotiate certain monthly bills down to a lower rate. That could be something as simple as the interest rate on your credit card. Pick up the phone and call your credit card company and let them know that you're interested in talking with them about how to reduce your interest rate. They don't want to lose your business. You can tell them, a little white lie if you want to and say, look, I'm getting ready to pay this off with another credit card. You also can consider negotiating what you pay for services such as cable television or internet services or things like that, because what you'll find is they want to keep you as a customer. These companies have huge amount of people who are what they call retention experts. If you've ever called to cancel service, well, I can't do that, but I'm going to put you on a brief hold and then we're going to put somebody on the phone. And that person's job is to maintain your account. So guess what? They have leeway. So let's say, for example, you've got a cable bill, and some of the cable bills I see are just outrageous. We'll call the cable company and say, look, what can I do to get this number down? But you have to make this a priority. Negotiate those bills. The worst thing a person can say to you if you ask them to negotiate is no. And then you look at other options. It's interesting in this article that I'm reading here, it says Consumer Reports says 70% of people attempted to negotiate a better deal with their cable provider. Out of that group, 80% were able to get one or more perks, including price cuts. That's amazing if you think. So 70% of the people attempted to negotiate, 80% were able to get something. Now, it might not be half price. It might be a free month of this or a couple months free of this, but if you don't ask, you'll never know. Now, the final thing, if we talk about our 3 ways to improve your finances in 2019, is improve your credit score. And I did a huge series back in the summer about credit. So I would encourage you to go find those series. It's a long series about credit. You can go and find those on the Ask Ralph website or where you get your podcast. And one of the things they talk about here in this particular article I'm reading about for 2019 is to improve your credit score. It really is, as this Ms. Lepin says, your most important financial asset, and improving your credit score should be a key goal. So back in my series about that, I talk about, how would you go about doing that? How do you build that credit? And why is it so important? It's because your credit score is connected to the interest rates you get on a credit card, mortgage, and your car loan. If you don't keep up on your credit, then things are going to cost you more, or you're not going to be able to get them. Also, if you've got credit cards, if you're not using them, close the accounts. Or if you're going to keep them alive, make sure you put a recurring bill on them, because you want to make sure you are charging a small amount, not maxing out the cards that you have available to you. And we'll talk about that in that credit series I talked about as well. Make sure you're using credit cards with rewards. Take a look and see what other credit cards are out there. Maybe you've had the same credit card in your wallet for the past, 5-10 years. And it's time to say, okay, what else is out there? Where do I spend my money? Where do I shop? Maybe it's wise to say, let me go find a rewards card that benefits me personally. It could be airline flights or something like that. But there's a ton of those things off. And just remember, the key to all this with your credit score is making sure you pay the balance in full each month. And don't forget to pay your bills on time, because you can do whatever you want as far as getting new credit and all that sort of thing. But if you don't take the time to actually pay your bill in full each month and pay your bills on time, then you're going to be defeating the whole purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. So, it's the beginning of the year. It's a great time to buckle down and say, what can I do to improve my finances in 2019? I think we've laid out some pretty good ideas. We talked about setting a spending plan instead of a budget. We talked about negotiating your bills, and we also talked about, improving your credit score. So there's definitely 3 things that you can do to really improve your finances in 2019. So I hope this was helpful. I would encourage you to go to our website at AskRalph.com. I mentioned our credit series that I did last summer, and that has got some great information about how to build your credit, how to improve your credit, how to read a credit report. And like I said, you find those at AskRalph.com, or you can go to the iTunes website or Google Play Store. So I hope you take a look at those things.
You've been listening to Ask Ralph, brought to you by Saggio Accounting Plus. Please subscribe to and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a rating and review. Our podcast is produced by Carolyn Peters. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Ask Ralph Media. You can also hear me each week on 1450 WILM and on 1410 WDOV in Delaware, and on the iHeartRadio app. Submit your questions or ideas for future shows by sending an email to AskRalph at AskRalph.com.
The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.